And we are live. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's been a crazy week, and I want to do one of these Q&As with you guys again. It's been a while. Just want to double check my audio. If you guys can hear me okay, just say yes in the chat box, because I've been having some issues with my mic lately. Let me double check my sound. I think so. I think that's working. All right. So we got the audio working, we got the mic, we got the sound, and then we're gonna get to questions. If you guys got a question for me, just put it in the chat box. And like the theme of this video is, generally speaking, corrections, bubbles, phomonomics, fear of missing out, and people just being silly human beings and following the herd as opposed to having their own information and doing their own due diligence. Okay. So we get the first question from Roger Tiwari. Litecoin is the next Bitcoin. Sure, seems that way. Listen, guys, you can't compare one coin to the next or one blockchain platform to the next. Each of them has their own background story. Each of them has a different use case. Each of them has their own agenda. Each of them has a different dev team. Each of them has a different, let's say, social perception. And at the end of the day, what is reality? Reality is perception of the people. So right now, Bitcoin is perceived as a store of value. It's not perceived, for example, as a currency, which was originally intended by Satoshi Nakamoto. In life, and if you look at nature, and I'm a firm believer in studying nature and seeing what happens in nature, there's something called homeostasis and also something called the osmotic effect. And over time, through symbiotic relationship with different elements in nature, things tend to evolve together. So it starts off at one thing. For example, we started off as a single cellular organism, and now we're a multicellular organism. So Bitcoin started off as a currency that was intended to, and over time, because of the value adding up, also some technical issues, or I wouldn't say technical issues, I would say technical difficulties to change the ecosystem of Bitcoin, which is quite difficult. People saw that as a switch from an actual currency to a store of value. So it's hard to actually state that you're going to compare one thing to the next. Like you can't compare Ether to Bitcoin. There are two different things. Enrique, will Bitcoin and Ethereum be the only top two cryptos allowed in the SDR when the new currency shift? I have no idea, to tell you the truth. I think in the future you're gonna have thousands and thousands of different altcoins. Obviously, thousands and thousands of coins will fail. My prediction is based on the tokens today and just based on a couple of things. So if you look at any pioneering technology, first generation, second generation, they're usually the worst because they're pioneering the way. Also use case, timing of the ecosystem, adaptability, ease of use, etc. So I think many of the tokens that you see today will disappear in our lifetime, or maybe even sooner, maybe 4 or 5 years, they'll go to zero. And then you're gonna have third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation tokens that actually make sense. So I think we're gonna have many, many different variations of tokens, many different variations of decentralized crypto. But just like you have in the fiat game where you have, for example, the greenback, the British pound, maybe the renminbi, maybe the euro, who are kind of like the top leading M1 money supply, we can possibly see that in the crypto space. For example, currently we have the decentralized networks, which Bitcoin is like, for me, I'm very bullish on decentralized, open source, uncontrolled systems such as Bitcoin, such as Monero. Like I love those types of systems. And so I think we might see maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 type of those systems in the future. Yeah, someone's going crazy calling me. Off. Okay. As for the bubble thing, okay, so in the last 2 weeks, the prices have gone ridiculous in the whole crypto market cap, even though market cap is not really a good measurement of total value. You know, token velocity, hash rate, daily transaction use, these are much more, let's say, valuable information than actual total market cap. And market cap can be manipulated, by the way, so that really doesn't mean anything. As for a bubble, you have to define what a bubble is. Is a correction a bubble? No. Is a bubble a pop to zero? Maybe not. For example, 2011, 2014, Bitcoin went through the same thing. This time, obviously, it's much bigger. This time, you have many more different cryptocurrencies and tokens, and the market cap is $500 billion. I do believe that many people who have entered in the last year or so aren't emotionally ready to withstand drops of 15, 20, 30%. This goes to say with any type of investment, whether you're investing in real estate, whether you're investing in a startup or stocks, if your investment vehicle, whether your asset or commodity, has dropped within 20, 30%, most people will be scared and they will sell. Most people are emotionally tied when it comes to their money. And if you want to read a really good book about investing, I would read Seeking Wisdom by Peter Bevelin, and it chronicles Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett's intake or thought process on Stoic philosophy, business investment, and how do they make money. But the bottom line is you have to devoid yourself of emotions when it comes to investing, regardless of what's going on. So to go back to your question about a bubble, I think in any market, whether it's crypto, whether it's housing market, for example, 2008, and it's going to happen again, whether it's going to be this financial student market, so student debt, whether it's going to be any type of market, there's corrections all the time. Bitcoin could easily dip to 10,000 before we're going back to 40,000. I think Bitcoin might go to 32,000 before we see 10,000. It wouldn't be surprised. I would not be shocked if Bitcoin even dips below 10,000, tell you the truth. What are my thoughts on XRP, IOTA, Bitcoin Cash? IOTA, they roll their own crypto and they have tertiary logic. I know they're trying to do interesting things. I'm just going to sit back and see what they got to do. So that's it. As for Bitcoin Cash, I know there's a lot of camps. I had my buddy Brad Mills on here, my buddy Matt Burns on here as well. As for Bitcoin Cash, listen, it's a laissez-faire capitalistic system, meaning if you really believe that you have a better value proposition with your decentralized open source platform, then go do it and win the crowd, right? Win the crowd. What's not good is if we see attacks on the mempool where we see people spamming the Bitcoin network. But then again, that's business, and a lot of people, that's not business, that's dirty business. A lot of people like to play in that field of dirty business. So I always say the best product at the end of the day wins. And so that's up to you guys what the best product is and what do you see value in for you as an individual, as opposed to what the network promises you. Bitcoin Cash will be next on Coinbase. Maybe. Coinbase is sitting on ridiculous amounts of Bitcoin Cash. And I know they said in their email that they're going to release that in January to everybody. And that being said, it would not surprise me, right? It would be smart of them if you're thinking from a business perspective, right, to make transaction fees, right, percentage, because I think Coinbase is 3 to 4%, I forget. So that would not shock me. And I think it would be a wise move on their end to get more revenue for their investors, to list Bitcoin Cash. Do I think the bubble? So this is from Ironworks. Do I think the bubble will burst is necessarily soon? Do you think the price of Bitcoin truly justifies its worth? Listen, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Like for example, in Toronto, there's small houses that are going for $1.4 million. For you, it's really expensive, but somebody coming from, say, Hong Kong, where that same house is $4 or $5 million, or even San Francisco or New York, where square footage is roughly $1,800 in New York, depending on where you are, it's a bargain, right? So it's all perceptions. Some people perceive that right now Bitcoin's too much at 17,000. My humble opinion, I think it's undervalued, to tell you the truth. I do like to see more use cases for it, and that's why I'm really excited about second layer, third layer infrastructure, such as Lightning Network, or even Ethereum protocol, such as Plasma and Casper. So I actually want to see people use it. At the end of the day, I want people to have commerce with crypto. I want people to exchange with crypto. I want people to use it to maximize their optionalities and abilities for an economic gain around the world. Excuse me. Is cryptocurrency stable? We'll define stability. If we're looking at other markets, no, it's not stable. You know, other markets don't move 20, 30% day to day. Some stocks do, but not to this degree that the whole market cap moves. And I think we will, in our lifetime, maybe a couple of years. And now stable coins are coming out, such as the MakerDAO and other ones who are working on stable coins pegged to either other cryptos or pegged to physical assets or pegged to some form of anchoring. So that'll be interesting once these stable coins actually come out. And those stable coins they actually might serve a very good purpose when it comes to like e-commerce or when it comes to trade between people around the world. So the whole idea is like, for example, let's give you an example of Bitcoin right now. Let's say I have an Amazon-like store and I'm selling my products for Bitcoin, right? And then a buyer comes around and wants to buy my product, and it's priced in the USD, but they're paying in Bitcoin, so it's $10, right? So let's say that person pays $10 worth of Bitcoin to send it. It costs them X amount of transaction fees right now. It might be cheaper if we're both using SegWit clients. And then basically the confirmation times takes a while, but within those confirmation times, maybe the price changes, right? And as an e-commerce store owner, and I used to be in the e-commerce business, you need speed. I need to order right away. I need to send it to my logistics factory. The factory needs to send it out. I need to send them the receipt. Like, it's quick, man. And also from people's psychological point of view, they're used to Amazon, instant gratification right away. So you can't have systems that are even delayed by 15, 20 seconds. It has to be instantaneous. And that's why it's very interesting when it comes to the Lightning Network. It's too slow and transaction fees are high. Right now it is. Like, Bitcoin is very slow. It's more than 10 minutes usually, depending on what wallets you're using. And it's extremely slow, and transaction fees aren't crazy what people are talking about, depending on kind of wallet you, but yeah, they're very high to send. Yes. So it's not economically viable for most people to be sending Bitcoin all around because it's too slow and it's expensive. Do you think the Monero, so this is from Ahmed Duvan, do you think Monero is undervalued? I really like Monero. So I'm not going to talk about pricing. I'm not a trader. I'm not a speculator. I don't talk about pricing. I talk about perception of value when it comes to what makes something valuable. So for me, I really love what Monero is, first of all. I love the fact that they have amazing dev team. I love the fact they have amazing use case right now. And I love the fact that they're pushing the boundaries of cryptography, like figuring out how can we make ring signatures better? How can we make Monero better? How can we make cryptography better? Like right now, they're talking about adding Mimblewimble type of optionality onto Monero and really making it the most secure, anonymous, decentralized crypto for users who really want privacy, or as the Brits say, privacy. Verge is the fastest. Yeah, I looked at Verge a little bit. I think they're on tour, if I'm not mistaken. I forget. Stacks token will solve merchant to business will get paid in the local currency state channel. Well, Stacks doesn't have a true state channels. That's not it. So that's kind of false. It's not. They're not running generalized state channels. How do I feel about the recent Cheddar interview with Joseph Lubin, where he indirectly said Ethereum futures were coming out very soon? Are you excited about the Bitcoin futures? Bitcoin futures are out. People are going crazy. I don't think so you can accurately short Bitcoin or Ethereum. So it's interesting. It's only been like a week or maybe less than a week. I think the futures came on the 8th, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13's like 4 or 5 days out. Sit back and relax and we'll see. You think a bear market's coming? Listen, it's not about if it's coming, it's when it's coming. Every market has a correction. Every market has a bull market and a bear market. It's that simple. It's not if, it's when. And smart people, people who really believe in the knowledge they've gained and accumulated. So if you guys really want to understand about, and this applies to life in general. So once again, I mentioned a book earlier, Seeking Wisdom by Peter Bevelin, talking about Charlie Munger. The second book would be 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. And the third book would be this, Principles by Ray Dalio, right? Really good part in here. Where is it? I don't know. You can also get the PDF, but this has a little bit more details. PDF is, where is that one section? Those with diagrams he has. Anyways, I'll do another video about the diagrams. Understand it's all about collecting the data and triangulating your data, right? You have your own opinion, right? You're going to go to somebody that has opinion against you. So it's really, really important to have a devil's advocate in your circle. Don't be in this echo chamber of yes men that everyone's agreeing upon. And number 3, somebody you guys don't know that has an unbiased opinion. So then basically you have your opinion your devil's advocate opinion and a random person's opinion, obviously all in the same industry, and you want to triangulate the commonalities among each of your guys' input and collect as much data as possible to figure out what is the best means of distributing your resources out there. So what Ray Dalio does, and I'm not a financial advisor, so bear with me. What Ray Dalio does in his Bridgewater system, and he calls it the all-weather portfolio, is every so often, I think every quarter, he looks at his profits, he looks at his losses, he looks at different baskets that he has within his portfolio, and he just rebalances everything, right? Based on the information he's acquired through triangulating his opinion. One second. Questions are coming in really fast. Okay. Decentralized exchanges such as Cyber Network, Waves, Omisi Go. Yeah. So, and also 0x, and there's a bunch of other ones. We're still a while away. I think the one that's really pushing it and actually in production is 0x. Cyber Network is a while away. Amisi Go still needs Plasma Network, right? So that's a while away as well. The thing with the decentralized exchange is a very clunky and hard to use, and it still doesn't solve the two main issues in crypto for people that actually need crypto the most, and that is the onboarding process and the last mile process. The onboarding process is how do you take fiat, right, into crypto easily, and the last mile process is how do I take crypto into fiat so it can buy food or pay for rent, right? So the people that need it the most, like in North Americans, we don't need crypto that much. In Canada, we have a good banking system. Everything's pretty stable. But you look at people like in Venezuela, Latin America, places in Africa, India, for example, places in Eastern Europe as well. Like you need fiat to live. You can't be paying things in crypto. So that last mile thing is a big problem. Decentralized exchanges, yes, you can have atomic swaps. They're almost free, pretty much free, but still doesn't solve the problem. How do I go on this decentralized exchange with my fiat, and how do I cash out? Do I think Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin in the long run? I will not answer that. What I will say is I think Bitcoin has amazing devs. They're working hard on problems. I think Ethereum has great devs. They're working hard on problems. And I think they're different use cases. So it's like me comparing a banana to an apple. They're two completely different things. And I think both of them serve a purpose in this ecosystem. Blockchain TV, I'm a new subscriber to your channel. You guys are crushing it. Thanks, boss lady. Cardano ADA. Yeah, I actually want to set up a meeting with Charles Hotchkins and talk about Cardano. So guys, understand, like, if I speak about, for example, Ethereum and Bitcoin and even Monero, like, I've met with some devs. I've spent my time doing due diligence, and I've taken my time to understand what's it about. It's not simply looking at it. Most people, and this is how most people behave, is you read a headline on an article and you're like, oh, I know what I'm talking about. And I try not to give an opinion on something I don't know. It's not fair to the organization. It's not fair to the project. And it's me just pretending to be an expert when I'm not. Like, it takes time to do your due diligence to really understand what you're speaking about. Any comments on Roger Ver and Bitcoin Cash? Let him do what he's doing. Like I said, it's a capitalistic system. If he wants to do what he wants to do, go do it. Any suggestion for best wallet? Yeah, I use, here we go. I use the Ledger Nano hard wallet. I don't use any mobile. Actually, I don't use any desktop wallets. I use a mobile wallet, but I use it to give out crypto to people. The people don't have it because it irritates me. Like, oh, how do I get it? And people are slow. I'm like, all right, listen, download blockchain.info because it just added Ether, and most people, I just tell Bitcoin or Ether anyways, right? It's simple to use, and I usually send them like $2, $3 or $5, whatever. But Everything else is a hard wallet. So Ledger Nano, there's a link actually below this video, I think. The Ledger Nano S I use, and Trezor is good as well. So those two are pretty good. Actually, not pretty, they're pretty much the best. Do I think altcoins are dying? Define dying. I think many tokens will go to zero. That's my humble opinion, yes. Do I know exactly which tokens? No, but I think the majority of tokens that said were utility tokens will go to zero. There's no value to it. It's a joke. Any good tested sites to cash out crypto? Remember, to cash out crypto, you need to go to AML and KYC, anti-money laundering policy, and know your customer policy. This is all about money laundering and drug money and terrorist money, okay? That being said, you go to a regulated exchange, such as Kraken or such as CoinSquare in Canada. For the States, Coinbase, Quadriga as well. It all depends on the country you're living in. Go through the process of AML and KYC to get registered, and usually that's process of passport, driver's license, hydro bill, like utilities bill. Takes usually maybe a couple of days, give or take, to process you. And then basically to cash out, they will send a wire transfer to your bank. And vice versa. If you want to cash in, whatever amount you want to cash in, it's usually a wire transfer. I think north of like $2,000-3,000. Underneath that, you can do probably like e-transfer or like debit card or something like that. And then you do a wire transfer to the bank. I suggested, so this from Dolfo, I suggested Golem as a promising token. No, I suggested Golem as a promising project. I think, okay, so this is my take. In the future, okay, so Golem's take is they will share resources of hard drives around the world for computation. Okay. Now, resource sharing principles where you have a token to track usage, to track identity, and to pay the individual who's actually putting into the network is interesting. But I really believe in the future, we will not have hard drives. More and more we're going to the cloud. Like, for example, even my most of my business is done on my phone. And actually, I'm getting a bigger phone, a Note 8 after this, right? It has a pen, I can do more stuff. I don't even care around a laptop per se, right? If you look at even like a bunch of these new MacBooks where it comes to like video editing, it's usually online, it's cloud. So I'm actually betting on the fact that we won't have hard drives. But the idea of creating technology to crowdsource resources is very interesting to me. Extremely, extremely interesting to me. That can be applied to many different variations of verticals out there. For example, imagine combining this information into people that have stores of data online when it comes to like medical information to maybe do crowdsourcing of diagnoses of certain lab results. And these lab results have been hashed and encrypted. So we actually don't know the identity of the individual, but we're looking for the best means of understanding what is on these labs. And so we can crowdsource this, and the people that have the best database online can donate their, I won't say donate, but give their information to it and get maybe a piece of the token. So the whole idea of crowdsourcing resources online is fascinating. Anti Uher, sorry if I butchered your name, but thank you so much for that comment. Frank, Cardano is a glue, be the glue sticks everything together. Yeah, like I briefly read Cardano. Like I said, I want to meet Charles. I want to talk to the team. I want to see exactly what they're doing. But from my brief glance, it seems interesting project. And they're really, I like their professionalism. They've hired a bunch of PhD cryptographers. They're taking their time. They're not rushing. They're really, I would say, doubling down on the science. And Vitalik and Vlad and even people like Greg Maxwell have spoke about this in the crypto space. Like, listen, the greed is outpacing the academia, and we need more talented people in the space who really do the work. Tim, do I actually use cryptocurrency daily in my life? Me personally, I don't use it. My business uses it. So I use it to pay freelancers around the world because that's what they want to get paid in. So me personally, I don't use it in Canada. In fact, I wish I could. It's actually quite difficult to use it here. We don't have any, like the rail systems aren't here yet. A lot of stores don't accept it here yet. But for globally speaking, yeah, I maybe bought a couple of products with it, but for my business, like Blockgeeks, we use it quite often. From Andre Mano, would you agree with those who say that given the ever-increasing resource needed for Bitcoin mining, there is a risk of becoming non-profitable? No. So Bitcoin mining will happen until like 2100, which you and I probably won't be around, maybe with CRISPR and other technologies. And the proposition for once mining is done, mining would be transaction fee as a profit method for mining. But also then difficulty levels will be changed as well. What is my opinion on, so this from Dan said, what is my opinion on DPoS, a delegated proof of stake? It's interesting. So for example, in EOS, they would delegate 21 master nodes. And then, so there's a couple of concerns I have. Long range attacks for proof of stake issue. So the more money I have, I can do long range attacks. Number two, a big issue is if you can identify these master nodes, they can be bribed into coercion within a consensus model. Number three would be the voting turnout, because for these master nodes to have power, the holders of the tokens would vote for these master nodes. So just like in any voting system around the world, it's not 100% of people show up to vote. And in these proof of stake models, people that have more tokens have more voting rights. As far as I'm concerned, that might be different or depending on the platform. But the thing is, like, even though, let's say you have 100 people that hold tokens in this ecosystem, 100 people won't show up to vote. Maybe 30, 40 people will show up to vote, right? So these 30, 40 people can dictate what's going to happen for the rest of the 70 people, right? So there's a lot of like these human psychology, human behavior mechanisms that aren't aligned properly with a decentralized system that would work efficiently. But that's not to say it won't work. Maybe people are working on to fix that, but that's kind of like the flaws I see. What is your opinion on Voice? It's now a member of EA. I don't even know. You know how many members of the Ethereum Alliance there is? There's so many. I can't keep up with projects. I'm very busy building Blockgeeks. If you guys haven't built a startup, then it's hard to kind of relate because you're working, like, people understand I work 100 hours a week, and that's the truth. It's very, very difficult to build a startup that's successful, extremely difficult. And all your time and energy goes towards that. Like some days I'm just fucking tired. I'm just going to be honest with you. What is opinion on scaling issues facing CoinSquare and Coinbase? I can't speak for Coinbase because I don't know the main guys in Coinbase. I know CoinSquare guys. They just did a big round, so congratulations to them. And I think they're going to be scaling quite fine in 2018. Yeah, they have a great team, brand new office, so all the power to them. So this is from KRLE2582. My thoughts on Tezos. Oh, well, they're in a big legal issue right now. They just picked up Cooley as a representative for the law firm. And yeah, they're going to be in court for a long time. So we'll see what happens. But my take is, I don't think so. We should have foundations and nonprofit charities as a token holder to escape securities. I think that method in the future as a business is ridiculous. I know it's necessary now due to laws and regulations, but moving forward, I think it's ridiculous. Rush, where can I read about your blockchain startup? Is Blockgeeks. There's a link below this video. We train devs. We're the world's biggest online educator of blockchain. When will Ethereum start scaling? That's a good question. There's two proof of stakes systems. There's Vitalik's and there's Vlad's. Vitalik's is more hands-on. Vlad is more theoretical. They go well together. It's very complicated, but I don't know. Maybe sometime next year they're going to start releasing parallel chains. So basically, they'll do a hybrid variation on testnet and mainnet, and then basically the proof of stake chain will run parallel with the proof of work chain. Then every 100th block, there'll be an epoch where proof of stake block will be there. I guess that's going to run for a little bit to test out how that works. And eventually, slowly, more and more blocks become proof of stake. And then eventually the proof of work chain will be eliminated for proof of stake chain. And then sharding would come in eventually. So it's a while away, guys. Let me put it that way, a while away, yeah. Does Blockgeeks do in-person classes? No, we're 100% online, but we do workshops for free in Toronto every couple of weeks in our office. Do you need programming experience? Yes. So if you want to learn programming, such as C++ and Bitcoin or Solidity or some crypto economics, you do need a background. But we will be launching soon a very basic plan that does non-technical stuff, basically, high-level stuff for people soon. $1,000 people own 40% of Bitcoin. Is that worrying for you? No, it's not worrying for me. It's called skin in the game incentive. Plus, if you look at Pareto's principles, also this is time and time again in mathematics, there is a curvature of usually 80% of a network is owned by 20% of the people, or 20% of effort gives 80% return. It's 10:50, guys. I literally have to leave in 5 minutes because I have a call at 11 o'clock a.m. Bitcoin news. Thanks. Appreciate that. We are not in a bubble, but we are heading for one. Bubble correction. These words are misplaced, misused. Like I said, no matter what market we're looking at, there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be corrections. There's also going to be black swan events that we can't, let's say, predict. Let's say one of the exchanges gets hacked, like Bitfinex or Kraken or something like that. Another Mt. Gox, what would happen to the market? Everything would go down, and you can't predict that. So always be prepared for black swan events. Remember, it goes back to emotions. Don't emotionally tie yourself to anything. If you're emotionally tied to money, you should not be in any investment deal or in any investment vehicle or investing in general, period. You cannot have your emotions run you. Is there any difference between a coin and a token? In my eyes, yes. A cryptocurrency is a decentralized open source currency that did not go through an ICO. A token, in my eyes, is something like an ERC20 built on top of Ethereum that is more or less centralized. Is EOS better than ETH? You can't make that statement, and I'll tell you why. Because EOS is not live yet, and ETH hasn't evolved yet. So once these two ecosystems are mature enough, working together, then once we have more information about them and seeing how they're actually applicable in real-world applications, then we can make those statements. Okay, guys, I'm out. Thoughts on NEO? Last question. I just wrote a blog, or we wrote a blog on Blockgeeks. Check it out. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.